One more time, greetings. Again, Jumbas, hello. This time, we're going to do another of the skills comparison series. We've got two more skills that are, well, I've seen it happen more than once. They get confused, mixed up. Why do I need both? Why should I spend my points and split them between these two skills? Aren't they the same thing? Well, that's what I'm going to cover. The two skills today that I want to talk about is perform and play instrument. They are quite different. Now, I have seen, I'll mention, and some of these other combinations and stuff I'm going to look at too, that some refs will just combine them. Simplify the skills, condense it down, take things like perform and play instrument and just put them together. But the idea in Cyberpunk 2020, Maxim Mike really had the idea of, and later he said maybe there were too many skills. He has said that a couple of times since. But the idea was to make it a little more realistic. Just like, well, a lot of the weapon stuff that he did in stats and so on, and armor stats too, were based on him actually firing real weapons and taking his observations from that and looking at reports from law enforcement and so on the effects of armor and how that stuff worked. That's some of the background of how that stuff happened. Some of the skills are the same idea, to try to make them a little more real, make the gameplay a little more realistic. So, for example, for perform versus play instrument, just because you're a good performer, you're a good actor, you're a good singer, you could be very talented at something like that, stage actor, whatever it is, you can be very talented, very good at those things. That doesn't mean you can automatically pick up a guitar and play in Led Zeppelin or something, right? You know, that one thing, or Samurai for that matter. One doesn't mean the other automatically. For simplification, sometimes a ref might say, well, these are the same. You tell me what kind of skills you want to be an actor, you're going to be a singer, you're going to be a band member, that kind of stuff, and that's what we're going to use the skill. We're just going to use this one skill for that. But in the core book, perform is separate from play instrument. Again, perform is specifically the sing, and I'm looking at my notes just to make sure I keep all this straight, because sometimes it does a little mixed up or confusing. But perform is singing. You're trained to sing. You're trained actor. Whatever your talent is, could be someone who's more well-rounded, can do almost any kind of acting, or somebody can do almost any kind of singing or other performance skill. It might not be just these things. A professional clown, for example, would use the perform skill during their performance. You know, a professional comedian might use the perform skill during their performance. Those kinds of things. And just to harp back to another video real quick on that point, that comedian, for example, perform is the performance of the jokes, of the routine, whatever it is, to the audience, the stage, the video camera, whatever. But actually writing those jokes, setting those things up, getting the ideas down ahead of time, that's compose. That's that skill I talked about in a previous video. So, real quick to go through it on perform. Some of the examples are at a skill of 4 on perform. You're a wedding singer. You know, you can do a good job. Yes, you're technically a professional because you're getting paid. And that's the definition I've always used. A professional means you're getting paid regardless of how good you are. But 4 is a wedding singer. Yes, you're going to get paid for jobs. You're going to be able to go sing at weddings, at other events and things. But that doesn't make you a big star. May or may not mean you have any contracts. Doesn't mean you have a record out, or doesn't mean you're in big movies. You know, if you're a comedic actor, your magician would be another example of somebody using perform skills. You know, if you're doing birthday parties and stuff like that, you're probably less than a 4. When you get up around 6 skill, now you're at that level. You're going to be potentially playing in clubs, in bigger clubs. You might actually have a following. I say clubs, assuming it was singing or some other performance type of performance like that. Now, if you're an actor, you might be performing in commercials, maybe even higher end commercials. You might be in some lower lower budget TV shows or something like that, or even just in TV. Soap operas might be one example of a 6, 7, somewhere in there. Now, at that 6, now you are starting to get, again, you potentially do have contracts. You've got fans. You might have fan clubs out there, people who know who you are and follow your work and that kind of thing. Now, when you get up to the next level, when you get up to a 9, that's significant. Now you're a star. You're a real star. Whether it's singing, whether it's acting, you're a big name comedian. Whatever your profession is, as far as that goes, you are really good at it. You're good chance when you get up around the 8, 9, 10 numbers. Good chance you're going to be recognized out on the street, that kind of thing. Now, contrast that, the other side. Play instrument is the other one I wanted to mention. Now, play instrument is exactly what it sounds like. It's the ability to play a musical instrument. Now, I'll mention on this one, the skill doesn't specify this, but some refs I've played with, hasn't come up in one of my games in a long time, but some refs I've played with make you pick an instrument or at least a type of instrument. So if you want to play, have the skill play instrument, you may have guitar. Now that might mean you could use the skill for all different kinds of guitars. You're going to play steel guitar, or rhythm or bass guitar or whatever it is, whatever kind it is. You can pick that one and play that whole set. If you want to be able to play violin and other string orchestral instruments, that might be what you picked for your play instrument. Or flutes and other reed instruments, for example, might be your play instrument skill. Now, other refs don't get that worried about it. You've got play instrument, you can play anything. That seems a little less realistic to me. I kind of like the idea of at least picking a discipline, a type of instrument, that's where your skill specifically lies. Now, that might mean still that if you've got a high play instrument in guitar again, that you have a musical ability, so you might be able to pick up other instruments and play them, just not as well. So you might have a modifier, a negative modifier to pick up something else. And that would be a great in-game lead-in, trying it a few times, several times, even getting some lessons, or just going out and jamming with a band or something, doing it anyway, even with the negative modifier. And then at some point you pick up play instrument in percussion, for example, in that other kind of skill, and become more skilled, more adept at that one. Some of these things, as far as play instrument, as far as what I'm going into more detail there in play instrument, some of those things aren't really probably going to matter in many games unless the performance, unless the band, unless whatever is a real big important part of the of your character's life, or of the plot of the story of whatever the game is that your ref is running. And again, a lot of this is up to the ref, how much play time and so on you take up with, where you spend on these kinds of details. But it can be, on the other hand, can be very important. If you're a rocker and you're trying to keep that audience's attention, to convince them to just buy your records or go march on Arasaka Tower, whatever it is, you've got to have a good perform skill. You've got to have a good play instrument skill. Now, and I'll mention, my games anyway, not necessarily both. Although if you're not singing, it'd be kind of hard to instigate a crowd to go do something. If you're not playing an instrument and only doing the singing, that happens a lot. There's lots of bands with lead singers that don't necessarily play their own instruments, or don't primarily play an instrument, only occasionally in a given song or something. So there you go. There's some differences on the skills, how they work, kind of relate to real life as far as the way they work, the way you might play them in an actual game. And need more detail? You want more information on those? You've got another pair of skills that don't make sense to you. Why would I spend points on both of these? Brawling, melee, and versus martial arts and stuff. That's another one I'm going to be looking at here in a future video. Another one that some people have trouble with. I actually saw somebody on Reddit recently was asking about that. Why would I spend money on all these different skills? I'm going to go into that detail, discern what the exact difference is between them, and why you would want to put points in this one versus this one, why you may want multiple all of them, none of them. We'll go into that in another video. So for this one, thank you for watching. Comments, give me the up and down thumb. That's okay. I can take it. If you don't like the videos, give me a thumbs down. It's fine. Throw me some comments. Tell me what you think. Again, if you have any other skills or anything else that just doesn't make sense to you, or does make sense, you've got a different take on it, you just think I'm giving people the wrong information here, put it in the comments. I'd be happy to respond, to even do another video if I change my mind. It happens. If depending on what your comment is, I'll do another video on it. And I'll mention, I had this thought the other day, and I think I mentioned it in another video already. If you have a very strong opinion on something, especially, if it disagrees with mine or agrees with mine, if you want to have a conversation on that, hit me up, let me know. Maybe we can do some kind of a combination video, an interview. I just sit and talk about Cyberpunk for a bit, whatever it is. Let me know. We'll put it together. I'd be interested. So, do all the stuff YouTube wants you to do. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.